Hello and welcome to my bike and gear check for the Atlas Mountain Race 2025. My name is David and I was wearing cap number 155. Yeah, obviously looking at the bike and how dirty it is, it was recorded after the race. So yeah, I have a little more insight what worked and what didn't work, I guess. And yeah, this is obviously not a winning rig kind of bike and gear check, and more of I got a mountain bike 3 months ago and I made it to the finish line without any major issues kind of bike check. So yeah, I hope it will still be useful to some of you out there. And yeah, let's get right into it. And I would say let's start with the bike itself. So the bike itself is a Canyon Exceed CF5, I believe. So yeah, a little bit the more affordable entry-level option of the Exceeds that you can get, but I got a pretty good discount on it last November. I don't know if it was like Black Friday or whatever, something like that. And then some nice person on Reddit posted a $100 coupon that I could also apply to the purchase. So yeah, I got a mountain bike with a carbon fiber frame for around like $1,300 or $1,400, and I think it's a pretty solid deal. I mean, since it's more of an entry-level mountain bike, it's obviously a little heavier than some of the high-end mountain bikes out there you can get. But you know, it's a good mountain bike to start out with. You can always upgrade parts over time. Like the fork, if I would upgrade the fork, that would probably save me a whole kilogram. Upgrade the wheels, probably save me half a kilogram. But yeah, for this race, I just went pretty much with the stock bike. Took it out of the box, rode it a few times, and then brought it to Atlas Mountain Race pretty much as is. Some parts that I did swap out include the seat here. I went with my Brooks seat. Has been working out pretty well for me. I've been using it for pretty much all the ultra races I've done except the first one, where I had horrible saddle sores. And so since I switched to the Brooks saddle and found a good combination of bibs and saddle, I haven't had any saddle sores. So obviously the Brooks saddle is like kind of heavy compared to some other saddle options out there, and it might not look super cool on a modern like carbon fiber bike, but you know, if it works, it works. And I think if you don't get saddle sores, that's pretty well invested weight right there. So yeah, for me it's just not worth it to try out options just to save like 250 grams. Because if you really want to find another saddle that works, you pretty much have to ride it in an ultra race. Yeah, under those conditions. And yeah, it's just not worth it to me to, I don't know, ride an ultra race and potentially have saddle sores. And so yeah, I'm just gonna stick with that saddle anyway. I also swapped out handlebar grips, so I put on some Ergon grips for a little more comfort, because yeah, you really want to take care of your hands. And despite putting on those handlebar grips, I mean, my hands still kind of went numb. They're still numb right now, especially the right hand, but I mean, I'm sure that helped a little bit with that. Otherwise it would be even worse, because the stock grips that I had on there, my hands would hurt after just like riding the bike for an hour. So yeah, I'm sure that helped a lot. And then I also put on aero bars, which is really more for comfort than aerodynamics. Because you just really want to be able to take the weight off your hands once in a while to save them as much as possible. So I would even like going uphill sometimes, going really slow, I would just ride in the aero bars because I didn't want to put weight on my hands. And what else did I swap out? I did swap out the tires, obviously. So I went with a Continental Race King tires. Yeah, they worked out pretty well. I'm probably a little bit of a Continental fanboy. I had a good experience with Continental and had a good experience this time as well. Didn't have any flats. Yeah, they're light, fast rolling, didn't have issues. Was also able to ride the sand section where apparently a lot of people had to walk, and even though there's just 2.2-inch tires, I was still able to ride through the sand, which is pretty cool. Yeah, and in terms of stock parts on the bike, so we got a DT Swiss cross country LN wheels. So these are pretty much sounds a little, don't know how to say it, but I mean they're kind of like the bottom shelf DT Swiss wheels that they put on entry-level Canyon bikes. I think they make them specifically for Canyon to put on the entry-level bikes because you can't find those wheels on the DT Swiss website. But that being said, like even if they're like more like the bottom shelf DT Swiss wheels, they're still DT Swiss wheels. And I'd say if it says DT Swiss on it, you can trust it that they're going to be reliable and a solid option. So yeah, didn't have any issues with spokes. The hops are still fine. The wheels are true after the race. The tubeless setup worked out just fine. So yeah, they're solid wheels, didn't have issues with them. They're a little on the heavier side, but yeah, they worked out just fine. So yeah, it would be nice to have a little lighter wheels, but at the same time, I'm also like, well, maybe I should just ride those wheels because I know they're not gonna fail on me. And yeah, then we got the fork on there, which is a RockShox Recon, which is also a little on the heavier side, but at the end of the day, same thing. The fork didn't fail me. There were a lot of people that had issues with their suspension fork. Mine works still just fine, and yeah, solid choice there too, I guess. That's pretty much it for the bike, I think. So yeah, let's move on to the bags. In the back here, we got the Apidura race bag. Not sure about the size, might be 5 liters maybe. But yeah, I have my sleeping gear in there and the sleeping bag. So it wasn't great with the sleeping bag because you have to compress the sleeping bag, and then when you want to roll up the top, it like expands again. So it was a little hard to like roll it more than twice here and to get it to really seal. Some of the other saddlebags they have, you like strap the top down here pretty much and pull it back. So I think that would be easier, like if you have a sleeping bag in there, easier to like roll it up and pack it up. And for me, it was always like, right now it's not too bad, but it would always like kind of open up because I can only roll it twice. And if it would have rained, that for sure would have been a problem because it would have sprayed all the water in here. Since it didn't rain, it didn't bother me too much. But yeah, I think if I would bring a sleeping bag again next time for one of the races I'm doing, I will probably choose a little bit of a bigger one, a bigger saddlebag. Adds a little more weight, but at the end of the day, if you're frustrated every time you have to like put something in there and pack it up, I mean, that's also not great psychologically. So yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's better if you just have a little more space. So it's just easier to pack things on day 3 or 4 of a race when you're already tired and kind of frustrated. So yeah, anyway, then we got a Apidura frame bag in here. Yeah, I'm using this frame bag for all of my bikes, which is kind of nice. That's also why I like the XC, like this kind of frame, because there's a lot of space in the triangle of the frame, and I can still fit a lot of things in there. I'm also riding a frame size large, which helps too. But yeah, I can just use the same frame bag for all of my bikes, my road bike, my gravel bike. Yeah, just need one frame bag. And yeah, this frame bag has crossed the US, has crossed Europe twice. So yeah, it has a lot of miles or kilometers on it, and it's still holding up. Still waterproof, zippers are still fine. It's losing a little bit of color, but besides that, it's still doing great. On the top we have the Apidura top tube, race bag. Yeah, solid option. I kind of like that you can open the whole top and it doesn't just have a zipper in the middle. So it can easily access everything. And so far the magnet has worked out, so I never had the top tube back just randomly open up and things falling out, even if the terrain is really rough and shaky. So yeah, love that piece of equipment. And then in the front we have a Cyclite aero bar back. Yeah, I really like that one for in the front. I put things in there that I want to be able to access while sitting on the bike, like extra layers. So yeah, I can just put them on while I'm on the bike, and don't have to get off. Like if you have your stuff in the saddlebag, you have to get off the bike, you have to lean your bike against something, and then yeah, it just takes a lot more time. And this way I can just stay on the bike, take off my jacket and keep going. And then what I also really like is like the little pockets here on the side. I can just put all my wrappers in there, from my bars and candy or whatever. And then when I stop for a resupply, take them all out and throw them away. But yeah, usually if you don't really have a designated spot for trash and wrappers, you like stuff it in your jersey pocket or wherever. Mix it with things you don't want to throw out and it's just a mess. So it's kind of nice to have like those little pockets there. And in terms of hydration, I got my crank tank from Adventure Hydration on there. It fits 4 liters of water, and it's pretty nice because it keeps all the weight of the liquids pretty low in the frame, and yeah, it doesn't really affect your bike handling, unlike if you put like bottles on your fork or like on your top tube or on your saddle or wherever else you can put bottles. Sometimes not great for bike handling, so it's nice to have all that weight pretty low in the frame there. And yeah, you also don't have to worry about pinching a bladder, and you can always see how much liquid you have in there. Right now it's empty, but when you have water in there you can actually see the water line. So yeah, really like this thing. And on the bottom I put an extra bottle with a prototype from Adventure Hydration for mounting down tube bottles. This mountain bike doesn't have any threads down there. It doesn't have any threads here. In my opinion, I don't know, gravel bikes and mountain bikes, they should all have threads here and here just for like extra things. But yeah, the mount worked out just fine. I was holding my bottle. I mean, looking back, I wouldn't have really needed this bottle, I had like plenty of water with 4 liters here. But looking at the race reports from previous years, sometimes it was pretty hot and people were like, yeah, running out of water, fighting dehydration. And so I was being careful, a little too careful maybe. Always had like plenty of liquid with me, probably a little too much oftentimes. But yeah, next time we'll probably look at the weather forecast and decide if I actually need like this extra bottle or not. But yeah, overall I could carry almost 5 liters of water like just here without needing to have anything on my back, which is like my main goal. I don't like having any hydration systems or backpacks on my back, so I try to have everything on my bike. So now let's see what's in the bags. Starting here in the back, we got my sleeping system in here. And leg links too, or leg warmers. Yeah, so the things I have to get off the bike for to put on, I put in a saddlebag, like leg links. You kind of have to, or leg warmers, however you want to call them. You kind of have to get off the bike to put them on. So it doesn't make sense to like keep them in here because you have to get off the bike anyway. So yeah, leg warmers. Got my sleeping bag in here, which is a C2 Summit Spark 1, I think, rated for 5 degrees, I believe. Yeah, it's pretty incredible for the weight and size. It's pretty warm, and then I combined that with my emergency bivy from Seoul, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, I would just put my sleeping bag inside the no, I'll put my sleeping bag inside the baby bag. That's what I did. And I mean, that would like give me some extra insulation and warmth. It worked out pretty well for the most part. I mean, in some places you really had to like zip it up all the way, so you pretty much only like had your nose and mouth out to like really keep all the warmth in there. But it worked out. And then it's also nice that you don't really have to worry too much about ripping your sleeping bag if you put it inside the bivy. Yeah, that way I could just throw it down on the floor and not worry too much about making it, yeah, breaking the sleeping bag, tearing it or something. So it's kind of a protective layer too. Because yeah, I didn't bring a sleeping pad, so I would just throw the baby and the sleeping bag on the ground and sleep like that. Yeah, that worked out. And also those 2 pieces were actually mandatory equipment that everyone had to bring, which I appreciated, because I wanted to bring a sleeping bag and a bivy, but I was kind of hesitating to bring the extra weight because I knew some people wouldn't bring it. So yeah, them making it mandatory, yeah, it was nice because then I could actually bring what I wanted to bring and didn't have to worry about bringing more weight than others because everyone had to bring it. So yeah, I really appreciated them making us bring certain things. Then on the bottom here, I have certain things that I put here that I never really have to access. So this is a second shower cap for my saddle, because if it's raining, you don't want to have the Brook saddle out in the rain because it's gonna completely it's gonna soak up all the water, pretty much break. So yeah, you want to cover it up. This is a spare shower cap that I have in there. Then I also have some socks knitted by my grandma, super warm. Brought a pair just in case. Didn't use it. But yeah, probably good to have a second pair of socks in case your feet and shoes are getting really wet and you don't want trench foot. so it's probably good to have a second pair of socks. Didn't need it though. I got some contact lens cleaning solution in there. I usually, this sounds probably a little bad, but I usually leave my contacts in for the entire duration of the race because I have less issues if I just leave my contacts in than taking them out during a race and like with my dirty hands and fingers and contaminating them with dirt and debris and whatever. So yeah, if I just leave them in, I have less issues. But yeah, it's still good to have like some lens cleaning solution just in case. And with that also goes some spare contacts just in case something happens to the contacts I'm wearing. And yeah, that's it for the saddle bag. On top we got the tracker, which was a pretty nice spot because I never really know where to put it. Sometimes I carry it in my jersey, but now I had it on the back here, and yeah, it worked out because I didn't really want it on the handlebars. Because if it's right in front of your face, especially at night, like they blink all the time, so I don't really want to have it like right in front of my face and then it like blinks the whole night. So yeah, it was nice having it on the back here, and then it also got good yeah, it's pointing up right into the sky, so good spot. Anyway, so in the top tube bag we got, so all the cables, I just like tuck them in here when I don't use them so they don't get dirty. Got some USB-Cs and USB micros, whatever I need to charge my things. Then I got some adapters in here so I can turn like a USB-C into a USB micro and a USB micro into a USB-C cable. So yeah, instead of bringing spare cables, I brought adapters so I can if a cable breaks, I can turn it into a different cable pretty much. And then also have a little valve adapter in here so I can stop at gas stations and inflate tires there if needed. Then we got some ibuprofen in here. Didn't need any of that, which was great, but good to have. Got some salt tablets, which I should have eaten and didn't really eat. But yeah, it wasn't too hot, so I didn't really have issues with staying hydrated, but always bring some salt tablets. Got some caffeine pills in here. Had some of those, but at some point when I get super tired and take caffeine pills, I just get like anxieties. So at some point, you know, we just have to sleep. Caffeine is not really gonna help anymore. But yeah, I'll just bring some of those. Then I got water purifying tablets. Didn't need any of those because I found plenty of bottled water to buy, but good to have in case you need to fill your bottles with some sketchy water. Then I got my toothbrush and toothpaste in here. Yeah, I just really tried to put in the top tube bag things that I need to easily access, like my toothbrush and toothpaste. If I don't have it in here and I have it like somewhere in the frame bag or whatever, you know, I'm not going to use it if it's hard to access. It needs to be like right in front of your face. That's how you're going to use things that you need to use. Then I got some lip balm in here. Should have used it twice or something. But yeah, ended up with like cracked, bleeding lips. I should have used more of that. Sunscreen, put on plenty of that so I didn't get a sunburn. I got some chamois cream, which is kind of just for backup, because yeah, my saddle and bibs work out pretty well. So I brought like 4 of those, and I think I used 2. Yeah, just in case I brought some, but I don't necessarily need it. But yeah, good to have. Then I brought some CO2 capsules, and this is the CO2 head. Yeah, like pretty much everyone I asked said I couldn't find CO2 capsules in Marrakesh, and actually found 3 of them. Yeah, there was a small bike shop who had some. So yeah, it was nice to have them. My backup plan would have been to bring 2 pumps. So you have a main pump and a backup, because you don't really want to get stranded without being able to pump your tires. But since I found the CO2, I didn't bring a backup pump. I just brought the CO2 and my actual pump. And you know, it was just nice to have for peace of mind if I did have issues with the tire and needed to get it back on the rim. It's nice to have CO2, because it would be hard to do with a hand pump. Yeah. Then we got the main shower cap in here. Again, needs to be easily accessible, so if it rains I can just pull it out, put it on my seat. Then I always bring some lens wipes. Yeah, they just fit here on the bottom. They don't weigh anything, don't really take up any space. You know, after 2 or 3 days into the race, pretty much every single piece of clothing is dirty and greasy. So it's like, okay, what am I gonna clean my glasses with now? So it's really nice to have some lens wipes, and it's kind of a reset too, you know, just get clear vision, and I don't know, gives you a little bit of a mental boost. Same thing like brushing your teeth. It makes you feel like, I don't know, makes you feel like you're just totally clean again, while you're obviously not. But yeah, anyway, nice to have lens wipes. Yeah, some more in here. Then I got some spare scrunchies, because, you know, got long hair. Could also be used for other things if needed. And my tiny Swiss Army knife, which got some scissors and a knife, and yeah, nice to have. Nice to have in here, so it can be just pulled out if needed. I also had in here, which is not in here right now, I had a mini tool and my tire plugs. They were also in here. Not sure where they are right now. Anyway, that's it for the top 2 back. In the front, not in the backs, but I had like toilet paper and wipes right here. So, you know, sometimes you just gotta hop off the bike and jump behind a rock and do what you gotta do. So it's nice to have wipes and toilet paper easily accessible. And then in here we got like those extra layers. So my rain jacket was in here, my Gore-Tex rain jacket with a hood. I mean, it wasn't raining, but I just, when it's cold, that's the first thing I put on to stay warm. And I just put the hood over my helmet, and keeps the head warm. Pretty incredible how much warmer you feel if you cover your head. So yeah, pretty cool, pretty nice jacket, always with me. Then, I mean, what just fell down here is my pillow that I always bring. Yeah, even if I don't bring a full sleeping system, I still always bring the pillow, because I feel like that's the one thing that actually makes you sleep well, if you can rest your head on something soft. Always bring that. Then we got my down jacket in here. Yeah, So this is Patagonia down jacket with a hood. Pretty nice and warm. Probably not the smallest down jacket, but for sure really warm. So yeah, there's that. And then last but not least, we got the gloves in here, the long gloves. Yeah, it was pretty important to have long gloves because the nights were long and cold. Yeah, and I think, yeah, that's it for the aerobar bag. And so we got the frame bag left, which I usually reserve for batteries, power, and repair stuff, and the rest I use for food. So as of right now, this bag is like half empty, and because the rest of the space I always use for food. So we got three tubes, one regular tube that I bring because it can easily be patched up and fixed, and then an additional two lightweight TPU tubes, just for peace of mind, pretty much. Then back here we got a repair kit. So yeah, let's just see what's in here really quick. If I can open it one-handed. Okay. We got tire levers, spare cable, shifter cable, derailleur hanger, some lube. This is actually the second bottle of lube that I kept in the frame bag. I had another one in the top tube bag because, yeah, you want it to be easily accessible again. Yeah, the frame bag, I didn't expect that I would need it, but I just brought a second one, and turns out it didn't need it. But yeah, you don't really want to run out of lube for your chain. A little bit of an extra chain link here, spare brake pads for the front, didn't need them, tire boots, sealant, didn't need any of it, patch kit, didn't need it. And then in here I have needle and thread, valve extensions, some screws, spare cleat, just a bunch of little screws and things that you might need. And yeah, that's it for the repair stuff. Didn't really need any of it, but yeah, obviously you you want to have it with you. Yeah, and then now we have the power stuff left pretty much. So in here I got my power banks. I don't have a hub dynamo, so I brought a little more power than I usually bring for races that mainly take place on tarmac, because yeah, I was a little paranoid that I'm gonna run out of battery power if I'm not able to sleep at a hotel. Yeah, I just brought a lot, kind of. So yeah, I brought a 20,000 milliampere power bank, a 10,000 milliampere power bank, a fast charger, and I brought 12 spare batteries for my headlamp, which was always on my helmet. Only needed 4 of the spare batteries, so I brought back 8 that I didn't use. Never really used the 10,000 milliampere power bank. I charged the 20,000 at checkpoint 3, I believe, and then it was full again. So yeah, it was, in terms of power, was a little overkill what I brought, but you know, never know. Probably good to have for backup. I mean, usually in road races, I guess I'm doing stuff on the phone much more, because if you ride on tarmac, you can ride one-handed. On mountain bike trails, single tracks and double track and whatever, not so much, so you're not really on the phone as much. Yeah, a little overkill. Would I change it next time? Maybe. Not sure. But yeah. In terms of light, I had my main light here. It was initially in the front here, but coming down from Tillwood Pass during the first night, I crashed and totally broke off the mount, so I moved it here, which worked out just fine. And then I brought 2 backup lights on top of my headlamp, which was completely unnecessary. Really didn't need to bring it, but yeah, I was just paranoid that I'm gonna run out of battery and the nights are really long, and yeah, if you don't have light, you can't ride. So yeah, brought a lot of batteries, lots of lights. And then I also brought 2 rear lights. I just brought 2 for backup reasons, but then also I knew if I bring 2, I probably would have, or probably never needed to charge them, because I mean, I turn them on a tarmac, but if you're like alone in the mountains by yourself on some kind of gravel mountain road, like, you don't need the rear light on. So you really only need it on the tarmac when you encounter traffic. So by bringing 2, I never had to worry about really running out for the entire race. Yeah, that's pretty much it. On here I had my Wahoo Bolt, I believe, and on here, yeah, I mean, maybe let's talk also a little bit mounts really quick. As I already said, we got the down tube bottle cage mount by Adventure Hydration. Then I got the computer aero bar bridge here, also by Adventure Hydration, and quad lock adapter that goes on your aero bars, also by Adventure Hydration. And these little neat clamps that zip tied on top that were holding my pump in place, which is also pretty neat. And then you just like strapped it down for safety, but they were pretty much holding with just a clamp. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There might be some small bits and pieces, like the mini tool and the plugs that I forgot, but I think that's mostly what I brought. Pretty much everything. And in terms of weight, the way it was standing here before I unpacked it, it was just around 19.4 kilograms. So yeah, since some things, little things were missing, I would say it was probably just around 20 kilograms without food and water, which honestly I don't know what 20 kilograms compares to other rigs. I mean, I know when I'm on the road during a road ultra, I'm usually closer to 14 or 15 kilograms, maybe, probably like 14. So obviously it's a heavier bike, but yeah, I really don't know what it compares to. So it's just about 20 kilograms without food and water. Yeah, I hope this bike and gear check was somewhat helpful, maybe for people who want to do it next year. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to post questions in the comments, and I'll be happy to do my best to answer them. Yeah, thanks for watching, appreciate it.